Hey, hey, hey. So, uh, I don't remember ever doing a narration type of diary before, but here goes. I figured, why not give it a shot? So, as I'm recording this, I'm actually in my room. Big surprise there because it's a colder day. It's like I would say minus 12 Celsius last time I checked. So yeah, for anyone who uses Celsius, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I just had this idea in my head, but at the same time, I was going to postpone it, but I thought, you know what? What better day than today to talk about it? And I kind of want to talk about how my childhood was different from my tweenhood, was different from my teenhood, was different from my early adulthood. I know there was no grammar in what I just said, but I hope you can forgive me for that. So anyway, yeah, I would say the first difference between childhood and tweenhood and teenhood and early adulthood, the biggest one is communication. I'm pretty sure, if you hung out with me for quite some time, that you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, obviously with childhood and tweenhood being an exception, because obviously I simply just wasn't of age to do whatever the hell I want. So there's that. But yeah, basically, yeah, as a child, I just really struggled to explain myself. If I tried to explain myself, I would be able to say like what I experienced, but I wouldn't know how to describe my rationale, like my logic behind it. But yeah, as a teen, I was able to as a tween, I was able to describe my feelings a little bit better. Yeah, this is when it started. But still, I was, yeah, basically out of practice when it came to explaining myself, so obviously I would still look ridiculous. And, yeah, as a teen, I think I got the hang of expressing my ideas fairly clearly. Yeah, that's bad grammar, isn't it? But anyways, but at the same time, what do you call it? I obviously, at that age had issues with, reacting, which of course was unresolved from my earlier years, up until that point. So there's that. Whereas with my early adulthood, I still have natural reactions and stuff. I would try to call myself out on it a little better. But yeah, I'm able to, be more logical as a young adult when it comes to explaining myself. But as you might have noticed, I still have that tendency to stumble on my words and things of that nature. And I'm not gonna lie, I've still had my history, even as a young adult, of retaliation, and I know that definitely needs something. That is something that I need to work on. But I think at the same time, I'm starting to develop more sensitivity to other people. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, my main thing going forward is, I think I've spoken about this before. I can't remember if it was online or offline with maybe a counselor or something, where I just need to not attach myself so personally to everything. And yeah, it is definitely has definitely been a journey, starting in my late teens, early adulthood. So it's a muscle that I'm working on, that I'm strengthening and stuff like that. But yeah, basically, I would say, from my late teens to my early adulthood, I've been trying, practicing, responding, overreacting, because as you might imagine, me stumbling on my words from a very young age, and I still stumble now. Yeah, I'm still trying to find a way to make sense, but also, be very clear about where I'm actually coming from. And I'm not gonna lie, over the years, like, regardless of which of the four eras thus far in my life that I've had, I'm not gonna lie, I've also struggled with some honesty here and there, but even though, it's easy for me to be vulnerable with you. But yeah, I would struggle with honesty in a multitude of ways, particularly honesty with myself. But I guess, some of us, well, maybe most of us, actually struggle with that, no matter, how old we get. And, yeah, but I feel like, developmentally speaking, I think you can probably tell that I just don't have a history of blossoming as quickly as I'm expected to. But yeah, I am, well, honestly, here's the thing. I feel like as a kid, I obviously didn't really have to worry all that much about discipline, because, if it's more about ground rules, if you know what I'm saying. You know what I mean? But yeah, as a tween, I started to develop an impressive track record of discipline, which I'm amazed by even to this day. And I wonder to myself, oh, how come I'm not like that now? But looking over events that have happened in my life, I still have some compassion for my teen self, although, unsurprisingly enough, that was easily one of the most rebellious times of my life. Not to stereotype anybody, but I just so happened to be the case. Where, I would go through something hard, but I would just force myself, to get things done, even if in that moment I just couldn't go above and beyond. And I'm not gonna lie, even as a young adult, I've been trying to overcome that space of, doing things. So I am calling myself out on that, that's for sure. Yeah, but at the same time, if you flip the coin a little bit, I don't know if I'm, referring to the right turn of phrase, but basically, when I look back at my tweens and I admire my discipline, I also have to take into account to not romanticize that part of my life either, because, what do you call it? Let's just say I've been guilty of, I know I promised that I wouldn't talk a lot about NPD and anything related to that, but I'll be real with myself and real with you that, as a tween, in particular, I was pretty big on placating and enabling behavior that shouldn't have happened in the first place. But I can forgive myself in the sense that, I was still a minor at the time. Of course, you're still at that age where you still don't feel very powerful just yet. But yeah, I happen to be one of those stereotypical teens in general, in like, eventually, where, what do you call it? I kind of over assert that rediscovered power. Yeah, I don't know how to quite describe it. Yeah, as you have noticed by now, I have photos that you're seeing right now of examples of outfits that I would put together in my early adulthood, since college, since my days wearing a wig, since days of me shaving my head and then wearing a wig, realizing like, oh, why did I shave my head? Although I do know why I shaved my head, but I guess that's for another day. Ooh, child. But yeah, I know I shouldn't say this. I don't remember if I mentioned it to you before, or if I mentioned it in a counseling session, or if I mentioned it to a friend in the third dimension. But it's not to make excuses for why I am the way that I am, but I'll be transparent with you, as a teen and as a young woman, I don't know if you can tell from my style, but from these pictures that I'm showing you right now. But I was kind of playing around with what I secretly liked as a young person. Yeah, just kind of embracing the silliness that I was ashamed of as a tween in particular, because as a tween, I think that's when, yeah, my body image was probably at an all-time low. Well, honestly, it doesn't compare to my how bad my body image is now as a young adult, which is ironic. But yeah, you think I would get better at that as I would get older, but unfortunately, the opposite was true. However, the thing that I improved upon since my teens was realizing, okay, I have the body type that, is better at, getting stronger, getting toned, as opposed to, losing weight or losing inches, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, I'm just meant to have a little more meat on the bone. But honestly, there are times where I do enjoy it because particularly, right after my teens, that's when I felt like, oh my gosh, I can move my body around, comfortably. Well, actually, I lied. I would say like late teens, and then early adulthood, where, I've come to terms with like how the extra meat on my body is actually helping me function on a daily basis. Because where I am now as an adult, I'll be honest, I found that it is difficult for me to stay seated. It is difficult for me to stay lying down unless, say, for example, I've been on my tummy for a long time, that I feel my face or my arms going numb, then I have no choice but to lie on my back. Yeah, and I also have a difficult time lying on my side as well. I'm in a really funny place with my body right now. I think we're just, evolving to the next Pokemon level. Yo, honestly, I feel like I'm not a human. I probably should be a Pokemon. But anyway, yeah, I could go on and on about the differences. But yeah, I would say in a nutshell, my interests never actually changed. It's just that the way that I would approach them would change and the forms of it would change. So I feel like the general trend would be, you know, as a child, I would work with more material things like crayons and sheets of paper, and then contrast it with now where it's mostly maybe 90% or 80% all digital. And then, anything that's using color or pen or paper, that's basically in the minority at this point. And you could imagine that, the shift was very gradual from, more traditional mediums to digital mediums in between my tweens and my teens because, as time goes on, we became more and more digital, so big surprise there. But yeah, I basically do feel like the same person. I'm gonna be honest, like when I was a child, I imagined myself as an adult kind of more on the preppy side, if not that, more on the punk side, I guess you could say. Yeah, either preppy or punk side. But yeah, it's definitely a lot, as you can tell from my style that's looping on the screen right now. Um One could easily say that I turned out to be almost the opposite of that, which I find kind of interesting. It's like, I mean, with the exceptions of, you're very familiar with my makeup looks by now, but I do think, with the exception of my makeup and my hair, that, you know, me being the opposite of what I imagined as a child definitely rings true. Um, but yeah, uh, and another thing that I want to add before I wrap this up, I guess what I want to set the tone for uh, chapter 2 of my life, I guess you could say, um, as a, in contrast with how I would value certain things as a young person, I would like to basically make a little more of a difference outside of myself. I'm not too sure if I want to get too specific going forward, but if I feel led to describe specifics, I will. But for the time being, I'll definitely keep that private. But yeah, I've just reached a point in my life where I'm kind of just tired of, what do you call it? Just satisfying my own desires. I can't quite describe it. Like, but yeah, that's basically where I am mentally right now. Where satisfying my own desires, it only goes so far. But I feel if I, going forward, contribute a little more time to, maybe not necessarily on a global scale, but from a community point of view, like I would like to make a bit of a difference in my own life. And if that helps to make a difference in somebody else's life, great. And if not, then at least I can go to bed knowing that I tried to make a difference in the immediate world around me, if not the world at large. So yeah, that's basically where I'm at. And yeah. But yeah, if there's anything that you would like me to I guess, have this little podcast-ish format about any topic, any suggestion, any questions you might have. Yeah, it doesn't even have to be necessarily about big stuff like life, like we're talking about now, but just anything at all. Yeah, you already know what to do. Let me know. If you are not already connected to me through IG, the information should be in the description. And as always, I'll see you in the next Lighthouse Diary entry. Stay safe, stay cozy, stay sincere to your cuddly self and then some. And here's a little sound effect for you that I'm pretty sure you're well familiar with. Can you tell those are kisses? I hope that it's obvious. Okay. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, or enjoy your sleep. And I can't wait to hang out with you again.